episode 4 of the Duck Boat Dispatch is going to be a little bit different. Josh will be joining us throughout the show at some point in time. He is getting off of work right now, I think, so Josh will be with us when he can. And Sara has work at 3:30. So the plan is when Sara leaves, Josh will join. That's hopefully what's going to happen here. They're going to overlap a little bit, but it might end up being I'm just by myself for a minute. So maybe you'll have to listen to me rant about the Red Sox who lost another game to the Angels last night, another one-run game in extra innings as well. Alex Cora sounded defeated. He sounded like he had kind of given up a little bit. We'll hear from him at some point in time today as well. I made sure to grab that. And I'm Tom Crisafulli. Sara Poduffley joining me for right now. And then again, Josh Bracken will be here at some point in time to be determined whenever he can get here. So while we wait for Josh, Sara, I really want to dive in on the Stefon Diggs because I know you're not the biggest fan of him, and I don't want to get into all of the boat stuff and all of that. I want to get more into what do you expect to see from Diggs this season on the field, production-wise?
I mean, he came to the Patriots as our expected wide receiver one. He is supposed to be kind of like what Brissett did last year and just kind of be like that veteran player to kind of show the new guys like the ropes, but also bring us to where we need to be and make those plays. Hopefully get some wins for us. And yeah, I mean, he's kind of just our saving grace, I would say. That's kind of what I feel like they were doing when they signed him.
Yeah, it was definitely they needed a wide receiver, and he was the best available one. Hey, you want to close the door, big guy? Hi, I'm recording. This guy. He thinks he owns the place. He does own the place. Can you pull the door shut? Thank you. That's embarrassing. But going back, that was embarrassing. He had this big smile on his face too. Shut up, Paul.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He heard me talking to myself too. He's like,
Oh,
"Ooh, let
yeah.
me go get my 3 seconds of fame."
Yeah.
Not gonna work, buddy. Camera's pointed at me. Nice try. Anyways, back to Stefon Diggs, who also does love the camera, may I add.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope, I'm not expecting him to do a ton, but just kind of mentoring the younger guys on the field. We saw the video of him at OTAs, which he was there for this week, with Jalen Polk on the side, kind of going through the release off the line, how to break this and that. That's what I want to see from Diggs besides his on-the-field stuff, because we'll get into that later, but I'm expecting him to have 1,000 yards this year. There's no reason if he starts week 1, he should have 1,000 yards.
I agree with you.
No doubt in my mind. But the little things like that, the on-the-field tips about how to be a pro in the NFL, things of that nature, I want to see. I want to see him do for the younger guys. And I know it's not something we're going to hear about in real time, but in the offseason next year, maybe halfway through the season, we'll hear from Jalen Polk or something like that. Maybe he's having a breakout year. And he's like, Diggs has been phenomenal in helping me get to this point. He's been showing me what it means to be an actual vet in the NFL. And then that kind of iron sharpen iron
Mm-hmm.
is what I want to hear from him when it comes to the leadership. But when it comes to, which I think you made a great point on, be kind of pointing the younger guys in the right direction in his short stint here. I don't think he's going to be here that long. This season, maybe next. I'm not sure what the contract is structured like, player option, team options, but he's not going to be here when the Patriots win their next Super Bowl. Maybe when they make their next playoff appearance, but not when they make their next Super Bowl.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a playoff run. I need something. But I think our next Super Bowl, like, not even win, but like our next Super Bowl run, I would say is a good maybe 3, 4, 5 years away. I don't think it's going to be this season. It's definitely not going to be next season. We just have such a young team. And so when I saw that we signed Stefon Diggs, I wasn't over the moon about it. But I did see what um, Coach Mayo did last year by bringing Jacoby Brissett back as someone who has been a Patriots quarterback, someone who's been on the team before, and kind of was just like that role model. So I think, like we both had already said, that's kind of like what we're doing with Diggs. Has he had great seasons in the NFL? Yes. Do I think that he has another few in him? Maybe. But I don't know. I think it's still kind of up in the air. He could
Yeah,
in flames or he could do well.
It definitely is going to be. It's going to be one or the other. He's not going to come here and have a mediocre season. He's going to come here and be 1,000 yard receiver,
Yeah.
85 catches, something along those lines, 100
Yep.
catches, couple touchdowns, 6, 7 touchdowns, or he's going to be an off the field problem who can't get on the field or can't stay on the field and doesn't perform the way we want him to. He's just not his old self coming off of the ACL injury, which he's still rehabbing. So he isn't able to do full contact at OTAs. Eventually he will get there. But reports are saying, Tommy Curran saying, one of the Patriots insiders saying he looks like one of the fastest guys on the field still. He's got
Okay.
hands of glue. He doesn't drop the ball. So I'm still very confident in that as well. And again, I expect 1,000 yards from Stephon Diggs. He's the clear cut wide receiver one on this team.
That's
Nobody
what he
comes
was.
close to the talent he has on this team in the wide receiver room that we know of. Maybe Kyle Williams is the second coming of Christ at the wide receiver position, and we just don't know it yet because he's a rookie. Highly doubtful, but possible.
You never
But
know.
possible. You never know. This Eftim Chisholm guy is getting the all of the hype in the world, which we'll get to in that. Maybe Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola 4.0. Who knows what he's going to be. But he's getting all of the hype in the world right now at OTAs.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to Diggs, expect that 1,001 yard. I respect that alpha receiver. I expect the wide receiver one talent. And I expect him to help unlock Drake May. That is the bigger thing when I'm worried about player development.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really care about Jalen Polk. I don't really care about Javon Baker. Drake May, if he can unlock Drake May the way he unlocked Josh Allen, his service to the Patriots will be, even if he
Done.
stinks, he will have succeeded in his job.
That's probably another reason they brought him in, because they saw what he did with Josh Allen. And I think I heard May was doing really well at OTAs.
Yeah, I've heard up and down things. Like the
Yeah,
first week,
I've heard a mixed bag, but I saw a video today actually, and oh my god.
the good days are good. The good
Yeah.
days are real good.
But
And the bad days are bad.
everyone has good and bad days. Even Brady had bad days.
Yeah, I'm not one to put. I'm not somebody that's putting too much stock into OTAs or training camp reps. And May went 21 for 23 today at OTA training camp 7-on-7. Okay, how does he do in a real day? How does he do in real time? That's what I
Yep.
care about.
Exactly.
I
When
care
the
about.
pressure's actually on you.
Yeah, when the real contact, because none of all these OTAs training camp, it's all soft contact now. It's guardian caps, which is player safety is very important.
Oh, agreed. But I
Not
think
real.
what it used to be is very different than what it is now. The NFL is much safer.
Air quotes, safer, yeah. It's what the league wants you to believe. The game is still dangerous.
Oh, extremely. But my kids are playing football.
Whatever they want to do, they can do.
No, they don't really have a say. It's gonna be fun.
You're trying to make a Clemson QB. You're trying to breed a Clemson quarterback, Sarah. Is that the goal?
Maybe.
Maybe. You're just gonna keep going until you get one.
Whatever.
Sarah, you see Sarah in like a decade, 2 decades, and she'll have like 35 kids, but that 34th one will be a Clemson quarterback.
You never know. But yeah, no. Whatever they want to do, they can do. But I will be I don't want to be full on like you're playing football, but I'm gonna be like, hey, like football's fun. Want to try it? And just kind of like guide them.
Push them in the right direction.
Exactly. A little gentle.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. And a gentle push is what I hope Mike Vrabel gave Stephon Diggs when he got back from the boat video and OTAs. I hope they had their one-on-one conversation, their coming to Jesus moment, and said, hey, no more smacking booty on the boats on video. No more fun dip in a bag.
yeah,
Let's
no.
lock in. You
Yeah,
need to
no.
rehab that ACL and be ready to go.
Yep. I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard anything about that. What went
I think
down with them.
I'm happy we haven't, because to me because if it was last year, let's say if this was last year with Mayo, we hear about that from Gerard Mayo himself. He'll tell us exactly what was said. I like that with Mike Vrabel. We haven't heard much about it. We know they've had some sort of conversation, but that's it. We don't need to know the details, and I'm okay not knowing those private conversations, even though I'd like to know what was said. but it just kind of gives me some like confidence and resolve in Mayo as a leader and keeping things in house and being able to handle situations like this in a professional fashion that isn't a media disaster like everything was with Gerard Mayo last year.
You meant Vrabel was doing like you said Mayo.
Did I say, well, last year Mayo was a disaster with the PR
No,
and
I
stuff like
know, but
that.
when you were saying like you were happy how Mayo handled
Oh,
this, you
happy
meant
how very yeah. Excuse me, apologize.
wanted to
Yeah, you know what
clarify.
I meant. You knew what I meant.
I knew what you
Mayo
meant.
handled no PR stint properly, and he walked everything back.
Yeah. I mean, I assumed that Vrabel was hard on him. I don't think he was rude, but I think he was firm.
Yeah, he was a boss telling an employee, "Hey, this is unacceptable.
That you
You're
crossed
the leader here. Yeah, you're the leader here. These young guys look up to you. A lot of these young guys probably idolized his game. I mean, he was, he's phenomenal. Been past 6 years, been a top ten wide
Yep.
receiver in the league.
Yeah. I know. I do like this new kid though. The
Everton Chisholm,
yep.
it's and especially it just with McDaniel's back, it just seems like another small, gritty, undrafted
I know.
little white guy that's
I
gonna make the team somehow.
I like an underdog story. I
Everybody
can't
likes it. What?
I get excited. But I don't know. I mean, I was looking at his stats today. He's first of all 23. That's my age.
Yeah,
And he finished his 2024 like season with a school record of 120 receptions, 1,300 yards, and 13 touchdowns.
yeah. He had a.
Terrible.
I mean, he is an up and comer. He's an up
Yeah,
and comer
I
on the
like it.
come up,
I'm here for it.
and it's just he's gonna make the team as a special teams guy.
Hmm.
I can see it. Like he's going
Yeah.
to be a punt returner,
Yep.
kick returner,
Yep.
slot wide receiver, and then he's just going to be catching 1,000 yards from Drake May. It's just I don't want to say it's going to happen because it didn't pan out with Gunnar Olszewski, but I
Yeah.
just see it happening.
Well, we can put it into existence. We can do
Yeah,
that like manifestation thing that people talk about.
well, I don't know if you're a crystal girl, but you can get your crystals out. Oh, can you not? Okay, good. They scare me.
Yeah, me too.
They
I mean,
terrify me.
I'll, like if they're on like a necklace, I'm like, oh, that's pretty, and then the woman goes, oh, it does this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but you're not one that has like the rocks in the room or whatnot, and like the half moon was rising or whatever the heck it is. Not
I'm
a half moon rising.
currently doing a sports podcast with you. What do you think?
I don't know. Everybody, hey, you
That's
never know what
you know.
people are all about. I mean, Josh last week said
I
this,
love
and I never
booty.
thought he would ever say this if it will load.
I love booty.
Hold up, it's loading.
Did he
Shut it
say
again.
I love booty.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that not playing? There we go. I don't know why I can't hear my own phones, but if you hear it,
heard
have
it.
to go back and clip that. So Josh is here with us in spirit. My headphones are all messed up. My dad is once again meddling with the pod, and he connected to my AirPods. I'm pretty sure. So love to hear that. So I have a bunch of. I don't know. The kids were all right. We're just blasting in my ear by the offspring. So you never know what's gonna happen. But back to Chisholm.
Yes,
I
I think.
really do. Yep.
I think. What if he's the one that unlocks May?
I'd be kind of upset because they're paying Diggs all this money, and I don't think he'll make the. Like, I think if he makes the team, it won't be as a receiver. It'll be as a special teams guy, and he'll slowly work his way up to like a receiver at some point throughout the season or maybe next year. It'll be one of those slow moving guys. But if McDaniels is here for the long run with Variable, like I think he is,
Fingers
because
crossed.
well, who's gonna hire McDaniels as a head coach ever again? He's flamed out historically bad at two places. Who's gonna hire him again as a head coach? I think he is just accepted. This is as far as I will go in my this is the highest peak I will reach in my NFL career. So if he's here for the long run, they can just develop him for a time being, and it's not like, ooh, we have to worry about McDaniels going out and getting a new head coaching job, so we're gonna lose X, Y, and Z on our coaching staff. No, they're not gonna get picked apart coaching staff like that because they're not gonna leave.
True. I don't know. I honestly, I'm excited for this season. I think excited.
I know you have them at a 10-win team.
I do.
But I'm excited because there's more to root for. Like last year, it was okay when the office is on the field, we get to watch Drake May, and that'll be fun because we're watching a new toy go out there and we'll see what he has. And then he was electric out there. He could turn nothing into something sometimes, and that was exciting to watch. And now it's okay. Now there's some expectations behind it. Last
Yeah.
year he was playing with his food. He had no expectations. It was go out there and play ball and do what you can with a terrible roster and a bad head coach. And now it's we've brought in a competent head coach, a
Hmm.
competent offensive coordinator, and we have surrounded you with some talent. Not a ton, but you have talent. Stephon Diggs, depending on I know, Sarah, you got that. I know, I see it, the eye scrunch. But if he comes back the wide receiver he was before the injury, 1,000-yard receiver,
But there's no guarantee that he will.
there is no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee. So it's a coin flip there. But then maybe Pop Douglas and Drake May, now that Pop Douglas isn't forced to be the wide receiver one, he can play more in that slot role that McDaniels loves to have receivers in. Jules, Jacoby Myers, Danny Amendola, Wes Welker, those guys that he loved to have in the slot role. Pop Douglas can excel in that as kind of, I don't want to say a gadget guy on the offense, but in that more Julian Edelman like role.
Yeah, which we need.
And yeah, they need a slot guy. They need a slot guy bad. And then even then, you still have Mac Hollins who can play on the outside if Diggs isn't playing well. And then you have Kyle Williams, who I was super high on in the pre-draft process. That was the guy I wanted them to get at wide receiver, and that's day two of the draft. So they do have talent, and then they rebuffed the offensive line. They signed Will Campbell. They finally signed him to their rookie contract, which I just think was the dumbest thing to nickel and dime the kid over. Like, you weren't not going to buy his contract. Like, you weren't gonna not pay that contract. Just pay it. So they finally pay him, and they make a big deal about it on Patriots social media. Um, I don't know if Henderson has signed his deal yet. They better, because I think that is going to be electric as well.
I agree.
I'm
I slacked this year for the draft. I didn't do my normal research, but when I saw him, I was like, okay, did my research. I really like him. I think he's going to be a good fit. If
good
they don't,
fit. He'll be a good pass blocker too, which I think will also help out May, and he can catch out of the backfield, so he can kind of chip on the block and slip out for a quick check down as well. Which McDaniels check down merchant McDaniels, never forget that check down merchant. This guy. So I really think things are setting up for a more positive. I think they're going to move in the right direction. If we talk about moving forward as a franchise as an up and down slope, I think they're definitely on that. They're not at the peak yet, which is the Super Bowl, but they're on that axis of where they're moving up towards a better season. And again, I think 4 wins more than last year is an improvement. You were 4-13 last year. If you're 7 and whatever, 8 and whatever, that's improvement. You're still on that middle of the draft, which is the worst spot to be. But hopefully you've developed a scouting department that can find talent in the middle of the draft now that Bill Belichick is gone at UNC doing God knows what with Jordan.
there was something about him going on with his contract.
Yeah, another so on June 1st, Bill's contract, so his buyout before June 1st was $10 million from UNC. They can now buy him out for $1 million and kind of kick him out if they wanted to. So that's why a lot of people were having the conversation of could Bill get fired. It would be after June. They would just give him the $1 million and kind of fire him. It was his contract buyout. It was in place both ways to protect UNC and Bill. So for the first 6 months of his contract, it was, well, maybe the NFL comes in knocking. This is to cover, UNC. Bill has to pay them $10 million. And now it's okay. Now it's the regular protection to set in where if they want to get rid of Bill, it's like $1 million.
Yeah, because I only saw a little things. I was at work and it was just on the TV, and for a split second, I read the wrong line or just didn't comprehend it, and it made it seem like he was let go. And I was
No.
like, whoa.
Still with UNC, again, if he gets a 8-win season in a bowl game and a bowl win, all of this Jordan stuff will be forgotten. If not, though, it'll be escalated even more than it already is in the media circles. It will be louder than it has ever been.
I do feel bad for her.
She knows what she's doing. I don't feel too bad.
I do, because she's probably getting so much hate right now, and that's just, it's unnecessary.
The hate isn't necessary, but some of the stuff, she knew what she was getting into. You're
gonna be in a public relationship.
She also very much wants to be in the public eye. She's not hiding much. She's very open and active about, the social media and, posting to get back at people. Which she knows what she's doing, wearing the 28-3 shirt on 28-3 day. Like, she knew what she was doing.
You
She
see the
definitely plays into it.
Falcons posted that or something.
Yeah, for their NFL schedule release, their bye week, they were on a beach, and in the background, they had Bill and Jordan doing the yoga airplane thing and like UNC Blue.
Yeah.
I think they took it down, but it was awesome.
I saw something where they like just posted a picture from practice and it was a guy in a number 3 jersey and another guy in a 28 jersey and they were just standing next to each other. And it was on like one of the meme accounts and they were like, do they not realize what they just did?
Yeah, the Falcons just accidentally walk into all of these things on their like
It's funny.
I'm sure their social media people are phenomenal people and very good at their job to get the job, but they just accidentally backdoor themselves into all of these hilarious situations that you can't help but just laugh at if you're not a Falcons fan.
But I mean, hey, they could have been joking around with it, but I don't know why they would do that because that was like they blew the like biggest lead in like Super Bowl history.
Yeah, it was the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Most embarrassing choke job. Josh and I, when Josh does get here, I know we're going to talk about the Celtics, and they had some embarrassing choke jobs, the New York Knicks, but that was
They were
all
up
time.
points for
All
multiple
time.
games.
A quarter and a half left. Are we talking about the Celtics?
Celtics.
Up 20 points twice against the Knicks, up 14 and a loss, and they still blew that series. Tatum blows at his Achilles. Whatever. The Knicks lost to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I can rejoice.
I saw something, actually it might have been on your Instagram story, but someone posted like it was a Knicks banner and it was like they
Beat the injured Celtics team. Yep,
Yeah.
that was me. I was painstaking. I'm not a huge tweeter. Like, I don't post much on X and Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But I felt the need to post a lot that day when they're losing to the Knicks. I was like, this brings me joy.
Yeah.
Something else I said that I thought was very funny. What's up?
What'd you say?
I'm trying to think of what I said, what I posted on Twitter. Like, I would live tweet during the games, like the Knicks games, and I would live tweet. And I'm not a big post guy. I don't like to plug what I'm saying. Like not hating, but crapping on, giving Josh Hart, hey man, you're not very good at basketball when he's throwing up air balls and playing terrible defense. Makes me happy. Aaron Naismith catching fire to win the games was awesome. But yeah, it really would have been nice if it was the Celtics and Pacers again. I think they might have had their number with the way they were playing, but heartbreaking, that's where it is. Josh and I are getting into all of that Celtics talk, but Josh will be here in probably 15 minutes or so. Still have about 7 minutes-ish with Sara, but definitely talking New England Patriots. I do want to get your thoughts, though. There has been, I want to switch sports a bit. There has been literally no talk about a Boston Bruins head coach, I feel. It's how NHL reporters work, but it is quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like last week we got that little seed. Like a little seed was planted. We got a name. Don't know how to say his name.
I believe it's Marco Sturm.
Yeah. Or Sturm. I don't know.
Sturm,
I feel like the U is before the R.
He's a former player, I know that.
Is a former player though the best choice? I mean, look at
I have no idea. I think the Bruins' issues start in that front office. However, I don't think they would be able to hire a head coach without extending their GM because the head coach will want that security.
Extended the GM.
Yeah. So I think that's why they did that, which is, about a month and a half old now.
Kick out the GM.
I'm not opposed, but I think this will be his last. This will be his last. Sweeney and Neely. This will be their last chance to get it to work with the head coach and find a roster.
I think what they need to do is go back in time, get in a fucking time machine, go back in time to before they got rid of Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, the Montgomery clearly was not the issue. It was the roster. It was the roster. They had a bad. Zadorov, one of the worst defenders I have seen with my own two eyes. And I'm not a hockey guy, but I can tell you that guy stinks. So they got ripped off on that. Nikita Zadorov is a terrible defender.
I mean, Annie's here. I would just bring her in and be like, Annie, just go off. Just tell me everything. But I think where they messed up was one, I don't think Marchand should have ever left.
That's the mistakes with the Bruins begin before Marchand.
I know.
That was
Getting rid of Olmark. That
I
I
think
understand.
we can start there, but it was, again, good move like the Marchand move. I agree with the Marchand move. I agree with the Allmark move. You can disagree with it, but it was the right move to make because they were going nowhere. They're rebuilding. Let's get assets.
It's hard to agree with something when like that was your entire childhood. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you're just like this breaks my heart and I understand why they did it, but I'm still really upset about it.
Yeah, and it's tough to watch again. He's in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're on a couch.
Exactly. But I'm so happy for him at the same time because I feel like I touched on this a little bit in I think episode 2.
But yeah,
And I said, like, we're finally getting to see him be the player that he wants to be. I feel like him being captain on the Bruins, he had to restrain himself a little bit because he was a leader. He was the person the younger guys looked up to. And now that he no longer has that C on his jersey and he has no, like, leadership roles, I'm not saying he's not a leader in Florida. He could be. I don't know. And I feel like he is, but he doesn't have those restrictions anymore. He doesn't have that magnifying glass on him because he is a captain. So he can be as dirty as he wants to be. He might
yeah,
even win space again.
yeah, and it's the perfect role for him to be the rat of the team and just kind of be that cheeky player, but he's the rat, and that's the role he was born to play in. It was the role he was born to play in. But with that being said, I do want McDavid to win the cup because I feel like he's too good of a player to retire without a Stanley Cup. At
I
the end of
know.
the day, that's all it comes down to.
I know. I don't even know who's it. I know the Panthers are in it. I don't know who else is
It's
in it.
Oilers Panthers. It's Oilers Panthers. Game one's tonight.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so rematch of last year.
That just shows you I was not paying attention
And
to
the Bruins are in it. You're not going to pay as much attention, and the
I
Bruins
know.
will not be in the band for a while.
Everyone has told me that my superstitions are too much. Like even my regulars at work, like pulled me over the other day. He was like, "Tell my girlfriend what you made your boyfriend do during this playoffs last year." And I was like,
You had to go sit in the laundry room or whatever the hell it was.
"I was in the bathroom.
Yeah, it was close.
I made my boyfriend. He was in the shower. I was watching the game. He was in the shower. It took a very long time, but he came out and like went back into the bathroom to like grab his phone or something, and the Bruins scored. So I was like, you're you're staying in there, and we won."
Got
And
to do
then
what you got to do.
exactly. And he
But
thinks I'm
that's not a crazy superstition because I'm very much in the camp of if the Celtics are doing bad and then they start playing good again and mounting a comeback where everybody was sitting, that's where you have to sit. You can't change seats. I think that's like the most common sports superstition, like that or like a lucky jersey.
Yep. Yep. I have a red Tom Brady jersey and it was like my prized possession, my favorite thing ever. I wore it to the 2018 Super Bowl. We lost. I couldn't tell you where that jersey is. I know I still have it. I'll never get rid of it, but it hasn't gone on my body since. Because in my mind it's cursed.
Yeah, and again, those are like realistically very common superstitions that a lot of sports superstitions that people have. Lucky jerseys, lucky spot, like people you have to watch the game with. Those are
Yeah.
very, very common.
I That's why I watch sport like playoffs by myself or with my boyfriend. Otherwise, it used to be me and my sister. During Super Bowl, it was me and my dad downstairs. I had one dog. My mom's sister and my other dog were upstairs. And they would always be calling down, being like, "Is that a good call?" Or they would like wait for us to react. And then as my sister got older, she started picking up the game. So instead of waiting for us, she was able to fill my mom in. So it kind of worked out nicely. But superstitions are a very big part of the game for me. Like I don't go on my phone. I don't touch my phone. I wear the same thing every time, eat the same thing, same people. I made my grandmother put her scarf over her eyes for the entire second half of the Super Bowl against the Falcons. Or
You
it
gotta do what you gotta do.
might have been the Seahawks. I think it was the Seahawks. And then we'd always go to Modell's. But
Yeah,
that's not
you gotta do what you gotta do to help your team succeed in the playoffs. Um, Patriots won't be there this year. I know you do gotta go, so feel free to go. I'll take care of things until Josh gets here. We're gonna get into the Red Sox a little bit and how I just want to cry. But appreciate it, Sarah. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Don't hurt their ears too much.
Yeah, no, they're gonna love it. They're gonna love
Oh,
it.
great. Bye.
All right, see you, Sarah. So it's Sarah gone as we wait as we wait for Josh to get here, we're going to move to the Boston Red Sox, and they suffered another pitiful loss last night to the Los Angeles Angels. They had a day game today. I have yet to check the score yet. It hasn't popped up on my feed. Game has to be over by now, though. It's 3 o'clock. And if they lost this one, it's the bottom of the fourth right now. It's 7-6, Angels, 2 outs. So we'll keep an eye on that one. It won't be over before the pod is over. However, if they lose that one, that is a series sweep against the Angels. They would be swept by the Los Angeles Angels if they lose today's game, which would just be embarrassing. They're a better team than the Angels. They should be a better team than the Angels. They have the talent. They're just not playing the piece. I don't think they're playing the right people in the right places. And I think that's what that comes down to. What I do want to do, though, is I do want to hear from Alex Cora himself from last night. I thought his post-game press conference was a short 2 minutes, but the attitude and the vibe that Alex Cora had last night is something we have never seen from Alex Cora in his tenure here with the Boston Red Sox. He sounded defeated. He sounded over. And we're going to kind of dissect what his vibe and everything like that after we hear it. So this is Alex Cora last night on Nesson, post-game. Red Sox lost in a 10-inning game, 4-3 to the Los Angeles Angels. So that was Alex Cora right there last night after the loss to the Angels, and a lot to get into right there. First of all, just the way he sounds. That was a small 40 seconds segment bit from the post-game press conference last night. But that was a very different vibe from Alex Cora last night. Again, he sounded frustrated, he sounded defeated, he sounded over it all, and you have to wonder what is going through Alex Cora's head right now. I've never heard a head coach, manager, whatever sport you want to talk about, I've never heard them openly and voluntarily say, in a situation as bad as this, when asked how frustrated it is to lose these one-score games, these one-run games, yeah, it's on me, guys. It's not in a, yeah, I need to put the players in the best position to win. Like, yeah, this game's on the players. They did everything they could. I made a mistake. Maybe they go for football. I don't want to cross sports too much, but if it's football, you go for a 4th and goal when you could have kicked the field goal. Then you go, yep, bad decision on me. That's on me. But when asked about, an overlapping theme of the season, which has been they can't win one-run games. They're not doing the little things to win these games. They always seem to have a debacle of some sorts in these one-run games that defines the loss in a way that isn't really anything other than just the team not being good enough to win these games, or just not doing the very little things, which falls onto a manager sometimes. And he openly says, at some point, it has to be on me. So at some point, if it's on him, he has to be fired, correct? Is he looking to be fired? Is he over this job? Is he done with the Boston Red Sox? Is he done with the Craig Breslows trying to get all nerdy and analytic about the game and telling him this is how many pitches Crochet has to throw, and then if he throws over that, he's got to come out of the game, or the order needs to look like this and that for A, B, and C and whatnot? Is he sick of all of the Boston stuff? It sounds like it in there. He sounds just sick of it all. He sounds defeated. He sounds upset, and he sounds over and done with this season with the Boston Red Sox. Now, to rebuttal myself in a way that I think could be looked at in a very different way, is he's changing his messaging to the team, which I think is desperately needed. If he's doing this on purpose and it wasn't just out of frustration, a whole throwing the hat down, I'm sick of this, I'm done with this, I'm going home. If it was deliberate and it was to send a message to the team that things are going to change now, and you can hear from Will Fleming on EEI the other day saying things are going to change with this team soon. I think he's alluding to Roman Anthony, but he could be alluding to other moves as well that could be made within the Boston Red Sox. If he's changing his messaging, I'm okay with that, because the whole we're buddy, I'm the manager, you're my friend type of vibe, I think is over with. I think the whole we're gonna figure it out at some point and we'll be good then, it's way past that. We're in early June. That's an April, early May conversation, thing to say at the podium. We're still working out some kinks. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we've had some injuries, but now with this new roster, with this new lineup, with this new outfield, we're going to figure it out. And it's far beyond time. He has changed his message to, we are not getting better. Something has to change. I need to be better. It is far beyond that time for Alex Cora to step up to the plate and say, okay, things are going to change in here. He doesn't need to be all buddy-buddy with these players. He can have a close relationship to them, but he still needs to be able to put his foot up their butt and say, hey, it's time that you do this. Toro, on that play, when Kelly is going for the ball, no. Kelly doesn't need to go for the ball. You're a first baseman. Go pick up the ball and move it over, okay? You can get there and make that play. Let's make smart decisions in the outfield, okay? Let's not commit stupid errors that cost us games. And when we get to the plate, 7, 8, and 9, those three. Say Don had a 2-run shot last night. He's been hot. You guys need to swing the bat. He said it before about Trevor Story, who was kind of bouncing back from a really rough May. We need you in this lineup to hit the ball. You're good defensively, but you need to hit the ball. Meyer, why he was not playing in this series, I have no idea why you call a guy up and then bench him for a full series. He should be out there every single game, getting those reps and improving every single game and working out those rookie kinks. Roman Anthony, I still do not understand why he is not on this roster with the Boston Red Sox. However, he needs to be up here by the time I talk to you guys next. If in a week's time Anthony's not called up, I'm going to be, and the Red Sox are still as bad as they are, I am going to be irate at this team. Thank God I have not purchased a ticket to go to Fenway Park this year, because I would be so upset if they were willingly not putting the best product on the baseball diamond to win us games out there, because this should be a playoff team. They should be a wild card team at the very least. The AL is terrible this year, and the Sox, despite all of their bad games, their 1-run losses, their mishaps this year, could still be in the wild card race come early fall, late August. They could still be in that wild card race, but they have to figure it out now. And I think it all starts with bringing up Roman Anthony. There are things this team can do to help improve their roster and help improve their chance of winning ball games. And I think number one is calling up Roman Anthony. You have a guy in Worcester just mashing right now. He is hitting the stitching off of the ball. Call him up. He is wasting away down in Worcester right now. And if I find out eventually in years that the whole reason they kept Anthony down in Worcester in AAA was to keep extra control on his contract to avoid paying him for an extra year before they have to sign him to a real contract, that's just going to be so upsetting for a Red Sox fan. For like your ownership, your team, your GM, your manager, whoever is in control of that decision, is not willing to front the money to help win baseball games. It just shows a lack of willingness to win in the ownership, which has been the big issue with this team, with this ownership group for the past half a decade now, coming up on a decade since their last World Series win. That ownership isn't committed to winning. The Red Sox are not the passion project they were at the start. They're now an investment option where they're selling tickets to win games. Not to win games, but to sell tickets to make money. And to move Anthony up, if you say, well, they have people in the outfield, you can't move Abreu, you can't get rid of Duran, you can't move, say, Don, you can't put them elsewhere. Perfect. Trade one of them. Get a starting pitcher. Get other players, because there are holes in this team, specifically starting pitching. Besides Garrett Crochet, all the starting pitchers are very shaky. Richard Fitz, out in an inning, had a bunch of hits ripped off of him against that Angels game. He pitched one inning as the starting pitcher, and he was pulled. Brian Bayo has been really shaky this year. Tanner Houck has been even shakier than Brian Bayo, which isn't good to say. Josh is joining us now. Thank you, Josh. We'll get you acclimated before we bring you in and start talking Celtics. So if that's what your thought process is oh, well, the outfield is filled up. Nice shirt, Josh.
Thank you.
I see it. Nice shirt. If that is your response, well, they can't bring Anthony up because the outfield is clogged up right now with Duran, with Say Don, with with Abreu. Trade one of them. You have needs on this team, specifically starting pitching and a first baseman. I don't think moving Devers into the field again is the answer. Putting him at third or first, I don't think solves your problem. Because at the end of the day, you move Devers to third, and then you have Anthony DH. Whoop-de-doo. Why? I don't see the point of doing that. I really don't. Devers has figured out DH. He is comfortable there now. He is mashing. Why mess with something that isn't broke on this team? Your DH is solidified and set. Go fix the rest of the issues. Fix third base. Fix first base. If all the talk was Devers isn't a real, he's not a good third baseman. Yeah, Bregman's out, but he's going to be back at some point this season. Put a Band-Aid over that for now, okay? Put Mayer there. Put Cedon there. I don't care who you put there. Just don't put Devers there. If you got to put Toro there, put Toro there, and put Campbell at first, whoever the hell you're going to put at first base. Doesn't matter to me. Just get Roman Anthony on this ball club.
You good now?
I feel a lot better now. I really do. I
You
really
good?
do.
You
We listened to Cora. Yeah, we listened to Cora
Anything else?
from last night.
Anything
I'm
else?
good. I think I'm good. I think the Red Sox are losing right now to the Angels. So they're going to get swept. 6 of their 9 next games are against the Yankees, so it's not going to get better from here, Josh. It really isn't. I'm going to be just as mad next week with this Red Sox team and just as frustrated. But that's what I signed up for, bro. Becoming a fan of another bot. I don't want to say die hard, but I keep track of the team. I want them to do well. I want them to win games. So that's what happens when you start tracking extra teams. You got more and more people you got to worry about, more and more athletes' names that are just stuck in your head that you're like, be better. Be better.
Understandable. It's not gonna get any better from here. How's this lighting? Does this make me look bad?
Nah, it's fine. Mine's worse because I got the light behind me. You missed it at the very start. Paul just walked into my room mid-recording. So we have that.
I missed the Paul cameo.
He didn't get in the camera. I kind of kept him at bay at the door, but he opened the door and I'm just like, what are you doing? I'm recording. And he's like, well, I want to come say hi. I go, I'm recording. I don't care.
Damn, way to do that to your dad.
Well, this is work. He doesn't like when I come interrupt his work calls. This is work.
Good to know that when Tom is alive, he does not care about his own father.
Oh, when we're recording, this right here is all like, this is my, unless the house is burning down or someone's dying, this is my priority. Be the best I can on this mic and the most entertaining I can be on this mic for the hour 15 that we get to be on this mic, Josh. So speaking of time and things of that nature, I want to talk about the timeline of the Boston Celtics because it's just us right now. Sarah had to go to work. We spent a lot of time talking about the New England Patriots. I want to talk about the Boston Celtics. And I know, we've talked about this before, the path forward for the Boston Celtics. I think they have 3 options moving forward, and I'll get into all of that. But I want to know what you think the options available for the Celtics are moving forward, progressing in this offseason.
So, I'm gonna retract one of those moves that I've been talking about recently, that being Kristaps Porzingis. I think there's a world where he stays on the team, not because we bring him back as like let's bring him back and run it back. I'm thinking it as a way is who's gonna want him? Who's gonna want a injury-prone guy who didn't really play his best when he was healthy on a contract like this? That's kind of where I'm getting, where even though it makes complete sense for us to get rid of Kristaps Porzingis this offseason, I think there's a world where we do have to kind of bite our tongue and keep him for next season simply because no one else wants that situation.
I think that's a super realistic possibility with his contract, with his injury proneness, with his play when he is on the floor. It's very concerning if you're a team making the move for Kristaps Porzingis. However, there are always teams willing to take on salary cap in return for draft picks. So maybe you have to tag a first-round pick or a second-round pick with Porzingis to dump that contract.
I'm not saying the chance is 0 anymore, but I'm trying to think of teams that could potentially be trade targets for Kristaps Porzingis. One, and kind of like a style I'm thinking of, is teams that were contenders but are still trying to be contenders. They're just kind of missing some pieces. One of those teams being the Golden State Warriors.
I think that's the perfect fit for Kristaps Porzingis.
And I think because they're a team contending, but they're not good enough. Their roster isn't good enough. Draymond's up there in age. Steph's up there in age. I don't think a lot of their depth really helps them out right now. the thing is, what does Boston get in return? Is it just simply Kuminga and a couple others? Do we throw in draft picks? Is it simply just Kuminga straight up? We haven't seen a straight up draft or a straight up trade in a long time in the league. Like we haven't seen this guy for this guy. No. So the question is what's the asking price? Because I feel like it would be a great fit for Golden State to take Porzingis, but what does Boston want in return? What's our next move? Is that next move still try to contend and let's get some extra depth pieces like a Jonathan Kuminga, or do we trade him for some draft capital and maybe set up the future? That's kind of the big question right now. Is what are you getting in return for him, especially if it is the Warriors team?
So I think you hit on the point that we really need to lock in on is what does the Celtics team, what path are they going to take? And we can debate trades and that and where they should go and who they should get back all the live long day. But the Celtics have to pick a direction, Josh. They have to decide how are we going to handle this Jason Tatum Achilles tear rupturing, the rehab. How are we going to deal without our superstar for assuming a full calendar year?
I think
And they have a lot of in that before I go. I think they have three before I let you go. I think they have three paths or three ways they can handle this. They can rebuild, they can retool, and they can run it back.
I think the correct path is to retool. I don't think it makes obviously I don't think you can run it back if you want to. No one really is a big free agent. I mean, you could easily run it back with the same guys minus Tatum obviously. I don't really think that's going to be progressing you anywhere for the following season. So 2 years from now, I don't really think there's going to be any progression, especially with Tatum coming back. You're going to want the roster to be up and improved for his return. I also don't think you need to go complete full rebuild mode though, into where you have to, blow up the entire roster. Like you can get rid of some guys like we talked about, like Holiday, Porzingis. I don't think you need to get rid of Brown and White though. I don't think you need to blow up the entire team. I think retooling the team is the correct path to go to, which is why I like trading Porzingis to the Warriors for like a Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is a restricted free agent. So, I mean, the Warriors could easily just re-sign him, throw him in a sign-and trade if they really wanted to. They also could let him walk, but since he's a restricted free agent, I don't know why you do that. Um, but that to me is kind of the system. I think you keep Brown and White so that when Tatum returns, he is back in his kind of like original system. It's not going to take him too long to, get back to where he was when he left off. It's still a very similar team to how he left it off as, with Missoula still as head coach. But then I also think you need to make some upgraded roster moves, because, like, again, Holiday's up there in age, Porzingis is injury prone, you're not going to have that for long. Horford's up there in age, so this team isn't really made for the future. The team is made for now. So I think you need to trade these guys for things that could potentially be successful in 2 years once Tatum comes back.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's no reason for this team to blow it all up. And when I say rebuild with the Celtics, that means to me they're trading Jaylen Brown for pieces.
That's also
Or they're trading him for younger pieces or a superstar now to then kind of run it back and just kind of hang around the bottom half of the NBA East playoff bracket and go out in the first round.
Did you see the this happened weeks ago. Did you see the interview they had with Cooper Flag?
I did not.
So a couple weeks ago, this is like
Is this the clip where he's like, yeah, I've talked to Boston or whatever?
something like that, yeah. But Boston had an interview with him, or at least they talked to him at the combine. People were speculating that Brown is up for grabs and that they're going to trade for the first overall pick. My whole thing with that is I don't blame teams for trying to go after, the number one prospect. Because obviously when you have generational talent, you want to see if this guy's legit or not. You want to see if he's a real deal. Boston's a weird one because obviously you're already a contending team. You don't need Cooper Flag, but if this kid is a once in a generational talent where he could potentially be, a top 5, 10 player of all time, I think that's where you would see the Celtics go towards. They're just checking to see that they're not missing out on the net. I don't want to say potential GOAT conversation guy, but a potential all-time top 10 player, potentially the best player in a franchise, potentially. I think that's what they were alluding to with the Cooper Flag interview, not like, we want Cooper Flag just because he's the first overall pick this year, and so we're going to give up Brown. No, I think they were checking to see how legit this guy was, if they want to make that move just from that small percentage. I think that's what they were alluding to.
I think it could also be trying to build some sort of relationship with Flag for when he is a free agent, depending, like just kind of, playing 40 chess. Who knows where we'll be in 5 years when his contract's up? Who knows where he'll be in? Huh?
He's from Maine.
Yeah, so hometown guy. So Steve, that already is gonna, say he's a free agent in 5 years and he's looking at Boston. That's gonna be a check in the box for Boston for why he's gonna want to come here. He had a good pre-draft interview with Brad Stevens. They connected. Okay, I like Brad. Let's go meet Brad again, see how he is. Check in the box right there. The team's looking like that could just be kind of all line up to help sign Flag in the future. So I don't blame them for meeting with him at all. They should meet with every top prospect.
No, it's just a lot of people were just speculating that was immediately going to be we're trading Brown for the first overall pick. That's what people were alluding to.
I'm sure every year they have interviewed the top prospect. It just makes news now because of the way the situation is with the Celtics, and it's the hometown hero and things like that. Speaking of hometown heroes, Josh, if the Celtics are going to rebuild, and in my mind that means trading Jaylen Brown away from the Boston Celtics, which I'm not a fan of.
Neither am I.
There is one team that I think I don't want to say okay with Brown going to. There is one team I would want them to trade with. I don't want Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't think he fits the timeline of the Celtics. With Tatum's injury and how things are going, I don't think he fits the timeline the best way possible. I think there is a blueprint already made by the Golden State Warriors of how you deal with this when your superstar players get injured in a playoff run and you have to kind of kill the next year. They traded for all these young pieces and got draft capital, and they were terrible the year after that Raptors final, and they got the number 2 overall pick in James Wiseman. Now, Wiseman didn't pan out, but however, the Warriors still went on to go win another ring with that core because of the young pieces: Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, Kevon Looney. Was Quinn Cook? I think Quinn Cook was on the team, or he might not have been. I might be thinking too far back. He wasn't. Okay, but they were able to build a young core around the older vets who still had it. Steph Curry was still the best point guard in the league. Klay Thompson, even though he's kind of a bum now, he could still shoot the 3 ball. The Celtics could do something similar where they deal Jaylen Brown to, I think, the only team I'd want him to go to is the Houston Rockets, because I want Jabari Smith Jr. back, and I want the Thompson kid back, and then you pick up Fred VanVleet's
kid back. We never had Thompson.
Well, you get them back in the trade. Like when I say get them back, you send up Brown, you get back Smith Jr., you get back Thompson, and then you just let the young guys play and be as bad as you possibly can. If you have to move off White or maybe Pritchard, I would move off White before Pritchard, because I think Pritchard, again, fits the timeline better, even though I don't want to get rid of Derek White. His jersey's up here somewhere in my room. I just can't find it. It's over here. You do that to match cap, still dump some cap. You pick up Fred VanVleet's bad contract. You pick up Jabari Smith Jr., you pick up the Thompson kid, and then you just play as bad as you possibly can be and hope you get a high round draft pick. And if you get the number 1 pick, you draft AJ DeBance from Brockton High School. He's the hometown hero. He's going to be in college this year. And that's the path forward for when Tatum is back. So then your 5 looks like Pritchard, Smith, Thompson, Tatum, big man, DeBance off the bench.
You had me scared for a moment when you said I don't want Giannis Antetokounmpo on the team. I thought you were going to switch directions and say Kevin Durant.
No, I don't want KD.
I thought you were going. You had me scared. I thought you were going to go in the direction of Kevin Durant.
Unless the price gets super low, I don't want Kevin Durant.
They've lowered their price a little bit for him already. They've lowered their price a tiny bit.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to take a Kristaps Porzingis for Kevin Durant.
They want a center.
If they want Kristaps, thank you for your service. You mean very, very much to me. I loved your time here, but give me Kevin Durant. Brad Stevens the Celtics have wanted this guy on the team ever since they missed on him on the draft when the 2008 what were you drafted, 09 or something like that, 07, whenever the hell he was drafted. They've wanted this guy on the team.
I think with the whole Brown situation, though. I still don't think you get rid of Brown simply for Tatum's sake. Just so I'm gonna emphasize that Tatum comes back to a system he is familiar with, so he is able to bounce back as quick. This team is able to bounce back quick. If we keep this team relatively the same, but also upgrading it at the same time, not only does that just let the team get better, that lets Tatum adjust quicker, and we can easily contend more. Because obviously, if Tatum comes back to a brand new system, say it's kind of like that roster, like you just said, with Derek White, the Rockets guys, and then whoever the big man is in the future, that's a whole new team. That's pretty much a whole new team. Sure, it's still Joe Mazzulla coaching, hopefully. But it's pretty much going to be a different team, different play styles with each player. Tatum and that team are going to kind of not work well together, not going to intertwine as much. They're more going to clash with each other. But say you keep White, Brown, Pritchard, you keep at least a third of the team similar, at least half of the starting lineup / role players the same. That I think will allow Tatum and for the other guys to kind of, attract with each other much quicker rather than just having a brand new team. Yeah, the young guys are cool, but once we throw Tatum in the mix, how is this going to look? Is this going to be the greatest thing ever, or is it going to look a little bit ugly? I think it might be a little bit ugly. So that's why I'm saying keep White and Brown, just for the sake of we need Tatum and this team to connect as soon as possible once he comes back.
Yeah, just to make it so Tatum isn't like the new kid at the new school coming back to the first day and he's in homeroom and he doesn't know anybody. It just makes it a lot more comfortable for him to come back. And you make a great point. If they just if it's kind of stink next year and they have a bunch of young guys kind of step up and maybe they make a 7th seed and a second, maybe they're 7th seed in the playoffs, they win a play-in game, and then they move on to the second round. You could have a situation very similar to Tatum's sophomore season where he led the team to an Eastern Conference Finals run, and then next year, Irvin was back, Hayward was back. They had to move the ball around in extra shares, and they just had a terrible team chemistry, and they were bounced in the second round by the Milwaukee Bucks. And you want to avoid a situation like that. So I think you make a great point there, Josh.
Yeah, and then the other thing is imagine you do have some of these younger guys on the team. Imagine they end up playing decent, good, well, that obviously they make the playoffs. They think they're a team for the rising, let's say. Excuse my language, they think they're the shit. And then Tatum's come back. He's like, oh no, I'm really the shit. He comes in, then these guys are kind of forced to take a step back so Tatum can perform well. They kind of then backtrack a little bit. They're not able to produce as much as they were able to now that Tatum is kind of taking touches away from them. So I don't think that. So with White and Brown, they know, Tatum's the top scorer of this team. It's his team. He's the guy. Whereas if you bring a ton of new guys in, they're going to think that this is their team. And then when Tatum comes back, he's like, all right, everyone sit down. This is my shit right here. And then the other guys are like, well, screw this. I don't want to be part of this anymore. That's where I'm kind of getting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Just egos clashing, and you want to avoid that. Egos clashing, it's just not good for business, and they want to win.
It's the best player on the team clashing with a bunch of young guys who can be cocky and egotistical. I'm not saying that because, I'm not targeting the Rockets guys with that. I'm just saying
in general.
Young players in general too.
And when I throw out the Rockets idea, that's just the one trade I would be okay with. I don't want them to trade Brown. It's just if they do, this is the kind of a package I want to get back for Jaylen Brown.
It's understandable.
We're going to move on, Josh. I'm assuming the tour's attractions today is going to be previewing the NBA Finals. So we're going to, instead of both, I came with one idea. I don't know if you did, but we're going to, we'll save those for later. We're going to preview the NBA Finals. They start tomorrow night. NHL Finals I looked at with Sara while she was here. So let's transition over now, and let's talk about the NBA Finals and how we think they're going to play out. All right, that sounded was on as long as I was hoping it to be. My headphones are on. Dude.
Very climactic.
Maybe it's this one. There we go. That was the one I wanted to do.
love
But my
Booty.
headphones have been all messed up. I can't hear any of the sounders.
No, we're not ignoring that. What was that?
I can't even hear that, bro.
You can't
My
hear
dad,
that?
no, my dad connected his headphones to his phone to my AirPods in the middle of the show. So I've just been listening to The Kids Aren't All Right by Offspring for like half an hour now.
You have
Just
your
like yeah, so I put my AirPods in over the ear because the AirPods go to my laptop and these plug into my mic, so that way I can hear myself and still hear you guys. Yeah. Anyways, tourist attraction this week. It's gonna be different because again, Sara is not here. She had to go. We had her earlier in the show. Josh showed up in the midway point. It worked out very nicely, surprisingly. Sara and I talked football. She left. I complained about the Red Sox. You came in. We talked basketball. We'll close with basketball. The NBA Finals start tomorrow night. The Indiana Pacers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder and reigning MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I have the Thunder in 5. They're just the better team. They have the best player of the series. They have more depth. However, I think the Pacers can get a gritty Game 3 win against Oklahoma City at home in their field house. However, I wish this was more hyped up NBA Finals because I think it'll be Oklahoma City's gentleman's sweep, but I don't think it'll be 5 very close games.
I have the Thunder in 6. I'm going to be rooting for the Pacers pretty much the whole time, but I have Thunder in 6. Here's a little bit of a hot take. Give me the Pacers to win Game 1 tomorrow. I'm taking them to win Game 1.
I don't hate it because they've played more recently and they had a gritty game. So they had a tougher series against the Knicks than the Thunder have in any series they've played so far.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I don't know where to begin. This, I think, is the toughest series for Indiana easily. I think if I'm thinking of keys to winning this game, if I'm Indiana, the Thunder don't really have many weaknesses. They don't have many flaws for their team. They can kind of do it all. There's one potential flaw that you could take advantage of if it goes your way. Call me crazy, they could run a 3-2 zone or a 2-3 zone, which I know is weird, but Oklahoma is not the best three-point shooting team. You force them to take shots. If you just keep forcing them to take shots, their shooting might not back that up that much. That might be your chance of taking advantage of them. Let them shoot lights out. Let them kind of shoot themselves in the foot because they can't make a basket, and then you take advantage of that. That's where I'm kind of getting with this. That's what Denver did in their series. They made OKC shoot from the three-point line because they were playing a 3-2 zone, 2-3 zone, and they pushed that game. They pushed that series to 7. So it's kind of weird on where you want to put matchups if you're doing man to man. If you're the Pacers, I wouldn't throw Halliburton on SGA. I'd probably throw Nimhard. I'd also probably throw Neesmith on him. I wouldn't throw the two big guys, Siakam and Turner, because you need them down low. I'm thinking you either throw Neesmith or Nimhard, but I again don't know how much I love that. So I'm thinking maybe you just do run the 2-3 zone, force them to take the outside shots. That's where you get your advantage from. Go attack on the offense. Because I think the Pacers will find their way on offense as long as Halliburton steps up. I think Halliburton scoring is the big key factor on offense. Defense, I honestly think it's a zone. Call me crazy. Offense, I think Halliburton needs to step up the most. They're undefeated when Halliburton scores 20 plus. So as long as Halliburton shows up, which I think he should, and he's scoring the basket as much as possible, they could push it. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point with the zone, Josh. If you watch the Timberwolves series, specifically Game 3, the Timberwolves defended SGA in a little bit differently. Instead of picking him up at half court like they would sag off a bit, wait for the screen to come at a lower point, so closer to the three-point line, and they would go under the screen. That way to cut off any sort of drive SGA wanted to get going, an easier drive instead of going over it. Kind of, again, what you said, giving up the three-point shot, saying, okay, you want that, you take that shot. We're not going to worry about that shot. You are a good three-point shooter, but you're deadly when you're inside the three-point line on a midi, a floater, fadeaway J, whatever it may be, attacking to the rack, completely getting to the cup. So that's what I think they should be doing, and especially if they want to come out, like you said, and that 3-2 zone, 2-3 zone, however they want to run it, play that zone defense. I don't know if they will, just because if you watch the Knicks series, they were so keen on doubling ball off the screen to force half court traps, Josh, along the sideline by the by the wing and the elbow. They really wanted to kind of trap there in that not cornerish area, but create the trap and force turnovers, force ball pickups off the screen. So I think they have a lot of defensive options on how they want to approach the series. And I think game one will be a lot of feeling out and a lot of, okay, what do they struggle with? What do we do good with? So I really would look for Rick Carlisle to be having his job cut out for him in game one of the NBA Finals, Josh.
Well, that can just be for any game one. Game one is kind of like
It's the feeler.
you're observing the field, observing the other team. I think with the trapping at half court with the Knicks series, I think they did that mainly just because Brunson is the guy on the Knicks, and obviously SGA is the guy the Thunder.
The Thunder.
But the Knicks don't
His
have
supporting pieces are better than Jalen Brunson's.
Yeah, their depth isn't as good. Brunson is a better star player than their depth is as depth players. So that thinking is, if you just shut down Jalen Brunson, you shut down the team. I think otherwise with the Thunder. Just because you shut down SGA does not mean you shut down that team. Also, it's just hard to shut down SGA. So I would much rather have, like you kind of said with the pick and roll, I would much rather have like Chet Holmgren and J-Dub just shooting a bunch of threes rather than SGA attacking me inside, looking for a mid-range, a floater, a layup, and potentially some free throws along the way as well. I would much rather, if we just have to take our chances with the three-point line because of how deadly this team is, we'll take it because that may be our only chance.
I don't disagree at all, Josh. I think they have just so many options of how they want to do it. I think obviously you put Nemhard on SGA. That dude is an offensive menace. Aaron Naismith can kind of relieve him when Nemhard's out or if he gets into foul trouble. But I think we're in for a good series. I hope it's just close games at the end of the day. I don't want them to be blowouts because people are already kind of hating on this matchup. And I think it's a shame they're hating on this matchup.
Yeah.
You have a top 3 player in the world versus a top 15 player in the world. Both teams have never won an NBA championship. The Thunder haven't been here since the 2013 NBA Finals against LeBron James, one of those years. 2013, 2012. It was that KD, Russ, James Harden team. And the Pacers haven't been here since I want to say 2000, when they got beat up by Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Shaq, those 2000 Lakers. So it should be an exciting series. Both teams play a fast-paced style of basketball. Both teams they don't shoot a ton of threes, but they shoot more than the average threes. They're not the Celtics where they're just hucking them, but the three-point game is very much in their offensive arsenal. So big leads are not safe whatsoever. We've seen that all NBA playoffs. 20-point leads are being blown left and right. So I feel like we should be in for a very exciting series, but it would just be the worst if they're all blowouts for the Thunder. You would never hear the end of it. Everyone would be like, the ratings for the NBA Finals were terrible this year. Adam Silver needs to rig the league again.
Here's about the ratings.
Old people.
Explain to me why just a generic fan who watches basketball, why would they care about the ratings?
They don't. If you enjoy the game of basketball, watch the game of basketball.
You don't work for the NBA. You don't work for ESPN or TNT, RIP, by the way. You don't work for any of them. Why do you care about the ratings?
It's just something old people like to just kind of talk about, like, oh, the ratings are down for the NBA. Why is it just, I don't know. I've never given much thought to it. Sports is always going to be the number one thing on cable television and streaming, whatever it may be. It's always the number one thing. Like, if I had taken anything away from our degrees at Curry College and all of those classes, TV dominates media. Like, no, sports dominates TV media. It dominates streaming media. It dominates social media. All of that stuff gets tons of clicks, likes, views. So yeah, it's probably going to be down compared to, last year's. But hey, it's still pulling better than like half of the major cable networks like shows are doing. So like, who really cares?
To go back to what you said earlier with people not hyping up the matchup because they don't think it's exciting, I find it funny when fans get what they want and they're still upset. Let's say the series was completely different. Let's say it was Lakers versus Celtics, classic rivalry, right? People would have hated that because it's, two it's the two biggest franchises in NBA history. People will be like, "Oh, we've seen this before. Like these teams always win. Like we want other teams to get a chance." But now, when it's two teams who haven't been here in God knows how long, with minimal championships and minimal really things to be excited about, now they're like, "Oh, well, the series isn't that good because these teams aren't as big as Los Angeles and Boston." What do you want then? What do you want? We're giving
Exactly.
you
They
got-
wanted parity in the league.
It is Oklahoma City versus Indiana, two teams who we haven't seen in the finals in, like you said, decades almost. And so, sure, the Thunder are a powerhouse dominant team. Would you rather the Lakers? Would you rather Golden State? Would you rather Boston? I'm saying this as just like talking to a generic fan. Would you rather one of these big powerhouses who you've seen countless of times play in the series, or would you like to see something fresh and new? Because what we're watching this Thursday is fresh and new, but you're still upset because it's apparently not as big as LA, Boston, New York, Golden State, Philly.
Yeah, and if you go back a decade, a little less than a decade, let's say 8 years, where it's, go back a decade where it's Heat Spurs, and then you have Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs. People wanted parity in the league, and that's what we have now in the
That's
NBA.
gone the past like 5
Parity. There hasn't been a repeat champ since the Golden State Warriors did it twice against LeBron James. That's how long it's been since a repeat champion.
We haven't gone any of the same finals in the past 5 years.
More than that. It hasn't been since the Warriors. The Warriors won back to back. Was
Yeah.
the last time we got that. So about a decade.
And then the year after that was Warriors, Raptors, Lakers, Heat, Milwaukee, Knicks, Denver, and Miami. And then it was oh no, I'm sorry, Boston, Golden State, then Denver and Miami, then Boston and Dallas last year, and now it's OKC versus Indiana, which I think is fair to say that's full of variety, but fans are still upset no matter what. They will never be happy from
You can't please everybody. Sometimes you can't please anybody. But either way, the NBA Finals heat up for Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Definitely going to be tuning in to watch. I don't know if you're going to watch the whole thing. I got to work Friday morning. However, NHL playoffs tonight start 8 o'clock. Oilers, Panthers, 2.
Hold on. What time you working in the morning?
5 a.m.
You work at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, I got to be there by 5 a.m. So I'm up at 4. Huh? I got to be there by 5, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say if I work, because I'm working on Friday too. I'm like, if I stay up and watch the whole thing, I get up at 4 a.m. So do you.
So we wake at the same time Friday, Thursday, and I'll do that Thursday as well.
And that's what I hate right now is when I have to wake up for work, but then the night before is like some massive game. So like when I'm watching the conference finals, I'm like, I want to finish watching this game. Then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, why did I watch that game?
Especially the West when the game would start at like 10 o'clock.
No,
so you're really up.
They started relatively early. They started at like 8:39.
Well, at a point in time, it was like the West game would start after the East earlier in the playoffs. I don't know if you had work at that point in time. Either way, though, we got to pretty much everything I wanted to get to today. The only thing we did not get to was the Tom Tibbs, but we'll get to that next week because we'll have plenty of time to talk about it next week. Thibodeau, I think it has some underlying messages for the Boston Celtics, so make sure you tune back in next week to hear our thoughts on that.
I am not shocked by it. Little teaser. I'm not shocked by it.
I am very shocked by it, but we'll get into all of that next week. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Duckboat Dispatch. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us. Like, comment, subscribe. All of those things. We're gonna be making a TikTok soon. I just haven't gotten to it. It'll happen at some point in time, so just keep your eyes on that. We'll post the clips there. Anything you want to say, Josh?
No. Oh, Sabrina's coming out with a new song tomorrow.
I did see that, so I figured that's why you wore the shirt.
Well, so I'm actually still in my work gear. I just swapped the shirt out. I'm still in my
cargo shorts
that are covered in gasoline.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll get into all that next week. So make sure you tune back in for episode 5. This was episode 4 of the Duckboat Dispatch. Make sure you tune back in next week.